So the Pantone color of the year is white. It's white. Okay, fine, it's Cloud Dancer. No, it's white. It's white. And of course it is. Because of course it is. I've seen a lot of people unpack this in really wonderful, intelligent ways, and I just want to add another layer to it because I'm not taking away from any of the criticism of it. The criticism is just, okay? It's fair. It's all right. But when I say, of course it is, that's because it's what I've been saying all year. We are in the year of revelations, as above, so below. We are seeing so very specifically, painfully, right up in our faces, the truth of our nation's shadow. Yeah, that shadow, that thing we repress, that thing we ignore, that thing that's just behind us that we don't want to look at, that isn't fully integrated, that we haven't brought light to. So the fact that the color of the year could be so laughably racist is like, well, of course it is, because this isn't just the revelation of what's been there all along. This is part of the public discourse. Everything that's happening this year. I mean, I've been focusing most of my content this year on politics because it's the big thing of what's going on in the US. It's the boots on the ground, the real world 3D expression of ascension, of revealing all of the old systems to break down what's corrupt so that we can rebuild new ones. And so as that public discourse spreads into other areas of our life and the way our culture is run and different touchstones of culture, which Pantone is, by the way, if you, this is first you've heard of it, you'd be like, I don't get what the big deal is. It's a big deal. Mostly in niche industries, but these niche industries run everything. Fashion, home goods, decor, like Pantone is a big deal. And the color of the year is a big deal. Only because it, in one fell swoop, attempts to name the cultural zeitgeist, what already exists, and set a new cultural standard. So for them making it white, well, we're fighting white Christian nationalism. Yes, as above, so below. So the discourse around this is what's more important than what's actually happened. Kind of the same deal here as the discourse around politics is as important, if not more so, than what's actually happening. And I'll point to very similar movements: Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ plus issues, and Me Too movements. The discourse around it did more for society than the actual events that spurred them into being in the first place. Because this is what awakening is. We, all of us, are deeply unconscious of all the layers of programming we have. And we say programming as though someone sat you down and programmed you. Some of it is intentional like that. Myself being raised religious and living here in Utah in a religious state, that programming is intentional and relentless and since birth. But everything else, just how the culture is run, how we do things around here, how we just live our day-to-day lives, the things we engage with, the types of media we consume, the clothing that's for sale, all of these things are part of the programming. We just unconsciously live it, carry it out. Now, we might be having conscious reactions to it, or where we're fighting it and we're breaking it down. And so those of us who've been awake and aware and like fighting these cultural issues or trying to bring awareness on these cultural issues, it falls on deaf ears to people who are still so deeply in the programming. So when something like this happens, when something big and dramatic and absurd happens, we're all talking about it and we're all pointing to it and we're saying the quiet parts out loud and we're very finely articulating what's problematic about it, what it reveals about us, unconsciously or consciously. And by the way, look who's just joined us in the unmade bed. Hello, Daily Dose of Daisy. Okay, so it's the discourse around why the hell they chose white that is so important. Because white people, unpacking our privilege is not natural. We're not taught to do this. We're not told to do this. We don't understand why we should. The only reason I ever came to do it is I was in intersectional feminist group in, I want to say 2017. When was the Nazi rally in Charlottesville? When that happened, I was in these groups, and these incredible people taught me all about privilege and what it means to unpack it and what unconscious white supremacy looks like in a person who is white. Which, by the way, I'm saying all the hot button words. I hope they approve this video. It's important. So now this Pantone thing, it is, pardon me for the pun, showing us our true colors. It's showing us something that has been hard to look at, has been very hard to look at. And so now as the discourse around this grows, that's awakening. That is us being able to unpack and look at and get into the nitty-gritty of this and how it has affected our life, whether we've been conscious of it or not. And by the way, I think it is so cosmically perfect that as I'm standing here doing this video, the clouds are floating by and the light keeps changing. See, here I go. I am now whiter. And also I have prisms in my room and they're appearing and disappearing. So if TikTok approves this message, and if you've watched it all the way through, or if you're on YouTube and have seen all of this, do you want to know more about this? Would it be helpful for me to unpack white privilege, systemic racism, unconscious internalized prejudice, supremacy? Would it be helpful for me to unpack this alone and as it relates to spirituality and ascension? This is something I know a lot about. I talk a lot about it, but at the same time, my experience is limited because I am not a person of color. I have not experienced it from their perspective. I don't have their lived experience. So I don't try to hold the mic on this issue. I try to let people who are more deeply affected by classism and racism talk about it. But I think it is important for white people to talk to other white people so we can have this discourse in a way that we're speaking to each other's experience to help us open up and understand and begin to unpack that. There are the prisms, they're back.